Hello, family. It's Hitting the Angles back out with you today, and we are talking about building a strong foundation. Now, everybody should know that in order for a structure to stand, you've got to have a strong foundation, and that is regarding relationships, regarding buildings, regarding businesses, how you build up your body. So, hopefully, what we are talking about today, everybody can get something from it. But Mike, tell me how you build a strong foundation.
Building a strong foundation for your health is first, of course, anything you have to educate yourself, or I should say re-educate yourself.
Absolutely.
A lot of the information that we go along with, we're starting to find now is a little bit wrong. So arming yourself with proper knowledge to build a foundation to grow from, a true foundation to grow from. And that extends to a lot of different areas when it concerns your health. You really have to start with a knowledge of yourself, knowing your body, and being able to pay attention to your body, because a lot of folks don't pay attention to the signs and don't know that they're signs to greater things, that once they manifest, then the trouble is here already.
Right. So we're being reactive instead of proactive.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. So in order to build a strong foundation, get the knowledge, basically of self first. Get to know yourself. What makes you energized? What makes you slow? What makes you feel weak? What makes you feel strong? Gain that foundation and proper knowledge of yourself. Get to know your own body, and then you can build and grow from there.
That's a beautiful sentiment. And I agree with that. I think that spiritually, it works exactly the same. As you connect to your higher self, you build a foundation between you and God, but then you also build a foundation with other people. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have that foundation in place, then it makes it difficult to have healthy relationships, because you don't know who you are. You don't really know how to interact with other people. You don't know how to have a proper perspective on life and how you should function, what your purpose is. So it kind of touches every area, unbeknownst to a lot of people, because they don't know themselves. Mm-hmm. So if you don't build that foundation where you actually spend time with God and with yourself, a lot of people are afraid to spend time with themselves, because what they learn when they spend time with themselves is that I'm not really sure I like this person, and so that leads to a whole nother dynamic that people aren't ready to deal with, so a lot of times people don't even need therapy. They just need to spend some time with themselves.
The mirror.
Yeah. Learn how to deal with, those past traumas, those things that trigger you. Learn how to self-regulate your emotions. Learn how to love yourself so you won't have unhealthy expectations of what other people should do for you. And that foundation will help to build the relationship so that you can exist in an environment where there's an equal give and take, and there's not so much take because you feel like you're lacking in an area where you expect somebody else to fill.
Exactly.
And I think it works the same way in business, correct, Arthur?
Yes, but I'm going to say this. Foundation, y'all hit on one key factor. You have to examine yourself. But the second thing is you have to know the environment you're building that foundation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
Because soil is not the same everywhere. And you can start off with the best foundation in the world, but if the environment around there is not conducive of it growing, then it's useless. You're not going to get the results that you want. And you have to be very protective and have to do the research to know who's, especially in business, who is in my corner? Mm-hmm. Who are the people I'm working with? Because as a fact, if you're trying to go one direction and you got 5 people going a different direction, ultimately the 5 will win if they're your team. So eventually you'll stray to them. And I've noticed, and I tell people a lot of times, that with water, it seeps to its highest level. So if you got 5 people at one level and you try to go higher, you're not going to go but as high as those 5 people. And so I think when you're building a foundation, you have to make sure that you examine who the people you are, make sure that that's the type of environment you want to be with, because I've seen so many businesses have great success and look like they had a great foundation, but the sound where it was built at was going to eventually collapse, and most of the time it do collapse.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful. So, Anthony, if you're investing, what kind of strong foundation do you need?
Well, ironically, we have a lot of similarities. When you're investing, you really need to know and understand your own temperament as it relates to what kind of pressure you can handle, what kind of pressure you cause yourself. You need to understand, like Arthur mentioned, as far as research, you need to do your research. The more research you do on a company or a trade, the more confident you're going to be. And the biggest thing is, as it relates to everything that backgrounds that we come from, we need to make sure spiritually is enhanced, because there's a calmness that comes about when your spirit is right.
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
I know you mentioned something about, you got to like yourself. And just sometimes I get to a point, I said, man, I really don't like me.
Right.
On a particular day, I might say that to myself. I said, I really don't like you. And you have to deal with you, and you have to be understanding that you got to be critical, and you have to be honest about, okay, these are the things you need to fix in yourself before you can move forward with some of the things that you're wanting to do. Because everything affects what you're trying to pinpoint as far as do from day to day. How you woke up, whether or not you wash your face, brush your teeth, just one little thing that you're accustomed to doing will throw everything out. So that right there, you want to make sure that you're consistent, that you want to make sure that you're honest about your situation. What you don't know, you just don't know. And whatever your weaknesses are, you want to continuously work on strengthening your weaknesses.
That makes sense.
It does. It does.
So that means that even though you will initially build a strong foundation, you've got to do some maintenance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's most definitely. Yes,
ma'am.
I think that you also got to understand why you need a foundation.
Yeah.
A 75-degree sunny day is not what makes it what that foundation is for.
No.
Because you're going to go through that. The foundation is for the storm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you do, whether it's finance, whether it's starting a business, family, you're going to have a storm. And if that foundation is not strong, then that storm is going to blow whatever you have and tear it all to pieces. You're going to always be starting over. But if the foundation is strong, then you will continue and just rebuild from that. That's the difference in someone coming in and with investments say, hey, the stock market crashed. You're seeing people going crazy because they didn't have a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know how they got to where they are, and they're going crazy versus the other person sitting there calm. Yes, I know I'm going to take a hit. I know this is going to be hard on me. But guess what? Because of where I'm structured and how I'm structured, I'm going to come right through this, and I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to rebuild. And that's where most of us don't understand, why do we even have to have a foundation? And it's not about the good days. It's what happens when things don't go the way we want. When we're getting hit by attacks we wasn't prepared for. That's when the foundation kicks in and say, listen, we've set our foundation so that when these things come through, we can deal with them. And we can work through them, and we can keep building our business, keep building our family. Because I guarantee you, there's nothing in life avoids a storm. And the storm will come, and the storm is never the way you imagine it. It's always come with a lot of power. And that's why it's important to have that strong foundation.
That ties back into one of the original points was building a strong foundation. You got to know yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to acquire that knowledge, because it's the knowledge that you gain along the way that builds the individual. The individual is the only connection that's solid between all of these entities. And all of these entities can't be controlled in anything. You can't control the investment weather. You can't control the spiritual climate, because that climate consists of everybody. You can't control, the weather, But if you are the foundation, a solid individual, it don't matter how many storms come. You're able and always will rebuild. Farmers, they go through it a lot. You got your crop ready. Everything is good. Everything is growing good. And then a hurricane comes through. A tornado comes through and destroys absolutely every crop you have.
Right.
That's not the end of the farm. That's not the end of the foundation. You're the foundation. You're fortified. You take that bump and that bruise and you go right back out there and you plant all over again. If the season is past, then you start with what was supposed to be your next season crop, and you are the foundation. If you're solid, you can and always will rebuild after any storm. Same thing with health. Your health, your knowledge in yourself and your health is the solid foundation. So when your health does go down and you have the bad days, when the storm with your health does come through,
right?
If you have a proper knowledge, you're the foundation. That storm, it doesn't last, because you're built solid.
Well, thank goodness for that. And I think spiritually, when you are progressively growing, which you should be doing, we all should be doing. A lot of people, the reason why they get stagnant is because they get into a place of complacency. So when you get comfortable with who you are and where you are, and you feel like that's a good place, you kind of want to stay there. So when you get to that level, and then God wants to take you somewhere else, he wants to do something else in you, with you, through you, and then you buck.
Right.
Or you push that, resistance up because you're not ready to go there. Then that's when, the foundation kind of gets a little shaky, because you have to constantly be reborn, renewed in your mind, in your attitude, in the way that you think, because every level of our growth requires something different. So what that initial foundation might have looked like, at the next level, it might look a little different. It might need another layer.
Right.
You got to add something else to that in order to make that progressive. In order for you to build and make it stronger, you might have to tear the whole thing down and start all over again. Even though you thought initially it was firm, there might be an environment where now it calls for something else. So that's where the research comes in, because a lot of us think once the foundation is built, we're done.
Right. Exactly.
We don't have to go back to the foundation. The foundation is laid. I'm good. You're good. Our relationship is good. Our business is good. My investment is good. I don't need to change anything. I don't need to add anything. I can eat what I've always eaten because I'm comfortable eating these things, and I'm going to be good to go. But we know, all of us know at this stage of life, that as we mature, we have to make some adjustments. What I used to be able to think, what I used to be able to eat, what kind of environment I used to be comfortable in, all of those things have switched around now. So now we know that, yes, you do want to build a firm foundation, but that is a constant work.
Have you ever had a food when you was young that you couldn't stand, and now that you're an adult, you're like, yeah, that's my thing now.
Oh my goodness.
You grow.
Come on, Brussels sprouts.
Indeed,
Yeah.
And so, just like that, even when you build go ahead, Ant.
I said, I still hate liver.
I'm with you on that, Anthony. I don't know if the love for liver will ever be there for you and I'm okay with that.
Oh, man, I used to love some liver.
Oh,
liver pudding, man, straight from the country market. What
Ooh,
you
have
talking
mercy.
about? Um, you know, that's even when you build a building, even when you have a good foundation, when you build that second floor still needs extra support.
That's correct.
It has to have certain joists and beams in place, because you can't build a 15-story building. You can't build a 5-story building just on one frame foundation. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
You have to have support here and there and along the way and on each level that you grow. That's a natural thing. When you build in a foundation, also, I think in these times now, looking at when the economics and just the whole world has changed so much, and it's changing so fast with just policies.
Right.
You see food shortages starting to come to fruition. They're having trouble with shipping and packing and working, and businesses, slowing down and closing down. That's affecting supply chains or whatnot. Building a strong foundation means your homestead.
Right.
If anyone isn't familiar with the homestead, it's when you take your home and your little piece of land and you turn it into a working machine to sustain you and your family and those in your immediate surroundings, your community. Think of the more serious side to that. You know what I mean?
Right.
A shutdown of 6 months, where the business is shut down, so the product is sitting, so a lot of things go bad. So even when they do open back up, there's far less. When it comes time to use it, it's not going to be available. Now you're 3 and 4 behind the
Right.
demand that you need to supply.
So how do you make up for that?
Everyone will be left in a state of lack because of being comfortable with being able to have all of these freedoms that we have, even down to the electricity we're using.
Yeah, we take those comforts for granted.
What if the power grid goes down? It only takes 4 days. 4 days without power on a mass level. Do you see how far 4 days can affect supply and demand chains and things of that nature?
Absolutely.
Preparing slowly, building a foundation slowly with your immediate surrounding, your homestead. You need to be planting food. You need to be planting medicine. You need to be planting flowers. Flowers brings the bees. Bees are very beneficial. Any kind of pollinators, birds, butterflies, bees, they're beneficial to your crops. You need to spend more time off of TikTok and other sources of entertainment, and spend a little more time on learning to can some food. Even if you starting to buy things from the store now and canning them, that's practice. That's gaining a proper knowledge. And also you can gauge on how long this food can and will last you.
Powerful information.
Build a strong foundation by thinking of a solid future of self-sufficiency and independence from this comfortability.
So, Anthony, how do you convince people after you've helped them to build a foundation that you might need to change some things? What do you tell them?
I tell them what I'm doing. I think failure is the best ingredient, the strongest ingredient to understanding the strategies and critical thinking on how to handle stress. September 11th proved that we were resilient enough to rebound once we came together. We are at our strongest when we come together and put down some of these barriers that we're faced from day to day. I think that was on one occasion that we did that for momentarily. Then we went back to the old ways. But everybody got a glimpse of the way it should be, or the way we should be, or the way we should be thinking about other people. And the biggest thing is when you're a giver and they see you not only talk the talk, but you walk the walk, it's a little easier for them to listen to you.
Definitely.
You know, I think if you got the biggest ingredient with that, you have to have a relationship with people. You know, they don't want you to come to them saying, what do you think about this investment? I don't even know you, man. You never called me. You never called me no other time. So the biggest thing I realized over the years, you have to have a relationship with people, and then it's much easier to convince them to do some things that might be to their benefit.
That makes so much sense. So, Arthur, if you're in business and you've got a foundation going and then the whole dynamics of the world changes, how do you go back to the table to your team and tell them we're going in a whole new direction?
Two things y'all said is very important. One is that foundation is always improving. You're always looking over your foundation. You're always looking for those weak spots and you're filling them in. Mm-hmm. And when you see one, you fix it. Just like Anthony said, the best thing in anything to build a solid foundation is making mistakes. Because once you make the mistakes that show your weakness, and a wise man learns from that. A fool continues to make the same mistake over and over.
Wow, that's powerful.
You can work all you want to in business. If you're not recognizing that you need to improve in areas and making those improvements, you're only setting yourself up for failure. Just like Mr. Mike's over here was talking about, well, when you have these large storms that come through and you're not, let's say we shut down for 6 months. Here's the thing about it. If we shut down for 6 months, there will be a lot of business going out of business, but there'll also be another group that's going to survive. How come they were able to survive and this group wasn't? One is they had a foundation. They could absorb the hits that came from that 6 months because they made sure their finances was in order. They made sure they cut out waste. And they were able to make decisions very quick because when you have to make decisions for your foundation, you need to be able to make them quick and know these are the right. You know them through the experiences that you went through. But if I've been doing bad business and getting away, because you're going to have bad business be very successful.
Wow.
That's true.
And you're going to have money coming in, but as soon as that storm comes, it exposes everything.
Yep.
Oh, my.
And then you're running around trying to borrow money, trying to get things, and nobody wanted to give it. Because you were just in a harvest time, and you never stored anything past that harvest. I see people with business go in there. They don't separate their personal from their business. I see business owners think that every dime of money come to the business is their money. It's not. It's obligated to other things. Your business, you are the last one to get any money from a business.
Wow.
Your employees, your vendors, your government, they all come way before
your utilities, your supplies.
Thank you. And that's the same thing with farming. If I go out there every year, I'm having great success because every day it's just perfect climate. I don't have any extra seed stored up.
Right.
I don't have any contingency or what happened if anything changes my soil content. Then all of a sudden it happens overnight. I'm playing catch up.
Yeah.
Catch up is what's going to end up causing you to fail at business. And that's the number one reason why people fail in investments and fail in anything. They're always playing catch up. You should be all ahead of the situation because when the storm comes, you don't know how it's going to come, where it's going to hit. But I can guarantee you one thing about that storm. It will find your weakest point, and that's where it's going to attack you.
Always.
That's so good.
Yeah, that's always. They call that, they say Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Anything that can and will go wrong. You've been driving down the street on this bum wheel every day for months.
Seem like you're stable.
Yep. And then the one day that is raining cats and dogs and it's hailing and your windshield wiper break and now that bum wheel want to go out. Now you got to go out in the storm and change it. And you know what I mean? So let's say anything that can and will go wrong, it will. That's Murphy's Law. That's it. You build that strong foundation and you're going to have to check it. You're going to have to maintain, and that's like I said it before, people need a proper knowledge. There's plenty of knowledge to be gained out there.
Yes, it is.
Plenty of knowledge in plenty of ways and plenty of things, but what are you gaining in actuality with all of the knowledge into what are you actually gaining? How are you making yourself an asset? You can go through life and acquire plenty of things that is considered an asset, $1 million painting, a high dollar car, a big old house, and some land to go along with it. But if you don't have the knowledge on how to maintain it, on how to work it, on how to make it a benefit instead of a hindrance, then, all of that, it don't mean a hill of beans if you don't have a proper knowledge. Gain a proper knowledge. And, you can forever trust that you are the solid foundation that you're building.
And I think that's why it's healthy to have those relationships where you can connect with other people, because no one person knows everything. So if you believe in being a single entity and you don't want to engage with other people, you don't want to interact so that, you gain knowledge, from different individuals, when you get to that place where you think that you're an adult, when your kids say, oh, I'm grown, so I have arrived. I'm at that place where I feel like I've got a firm, solid foundation on what I know. So I don't need your, expertise anymore, mom, dad. I don't need your money anymore. I don't need your guidance anymore. I don't need, to stay here anymore. I'm going to move into my own place. I'm, going to go out here and figure out what I want to do. And you can't tell me what to do anymore. And then all of a sudden, life gives them a nice, swift punch in the gut.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately they return to what? The foundation, the home front, where it's safe, where somebody's got your back. Isn't that funny? The first thing we thought we wanted to do was grow up and leave our parents' homes. And I can't wait till I get grown so I can leave and do what I want to do.
Do my own thing.
Oh, my goodness. And then you recognize, guess what? All those things that they taught you come full circle. It makes all the sense in the world, especially when you have your own kids. I mean, I think I've done more apologizing to my parents now in this stage of life than I ever thought I would, because what they told me back then, oh, you just wait. You wait till you have kids. You're going to see.
Yeah.
And I'd say, yeah, okay. They don't know what they're talking about. They're old. They don't understand. I'm going to be doing this and that. And now I'm so sorry. Yeah. I apologize. You were right.
Didn't have a plan in the world.
Yeah. Not a solid one.
You saw your end goal. I want to be this. I want to do this. I want to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we forgot about the whole plan on the in between.
Oh man, we skipped a lot of steps.
Yeah, we skipped a whole bunch of steps. And I thinking we bad, thinking we grown, Yeah,
I got my foundation all together. I know exactly what I'm doing. This is going to work out. It's going to be successful. You just wait. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show everybody. And then life happens. And then, you might have to start right back at square one, move back home with mom and dad or whatever the case may be.
It happens.
And isn't that humbling?
It happens.
It'll definitely teach you how to get a strong foundation for the next go round. Won't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's...
Well, my son is a good example of that, because right before he went off to college, this is his freshman year at in Virginia, Emory and Henry, I wanted to choke my son out. I said, I can't wait. I said, I can't wait till he leave. He probably was telling himself, I can't wait till I leave.
Absolutely.
And I was telling him, what to expect when he go out there and start playing football. He was like, Dad, I could tell he was like, Dad, you old, you don't know what you're talking about. So now that he's in college, I think I could just tell our relationship has shifted, because he calls me, we be in the same house and I might not talk to him half the day and what have you. And he's like, Dad, yeah. You can tell he's confirming, yeah. But I'm telling you, when you're dealing with people and that relationship thing, a lot of people take that for granted.
Yes, they
When you
do.
don't have a relationship with somebody, you don't have the right to ask certain questions. You don't have the right to share certain information. That's why, the best thing you could do if you're trying to provide some information to somebody, invite them over to maybe drink some coffee or something. Go out to dinner and break some bread. Go to lunch or something. Break bread with them before you start getting into any other categories that you're trying to bless them with or
That's
her with.
excellent
Yeah,
wisdom.
that's great.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And I think that we've all learned that, as we've grown and matured, we've figured out, that foundation is so important, even in your personal relationship with yourself, but it's definitely paramount if you're going to be in relationships with other people because,
Indeed.
that trust factor. It's tough to trust yourself, but when you got to put it out there with other people, if you don't have a relationship, then oh my goodness, you are definitely subject to, some long sleepless nights and some worries that you may put on yourself that are unnecessary.
Indeed.
But we thank you all for joining us today. Seems like the time passes so quick when we start getting into our thoughts and ideas. But
Yeah, start hitting those angles.
oh my goodness, we always hit them in just the right way. But we thank you all for joining us today. Hope you'll be back with us again. And we're out.
One love.